What is up, guys? Quinn here. So I'm in my school right now, about to head to the classroom to check on the tanks. I was actually here yesterday and there is some craziness going on in the 75-gallon that you guys have to see. So I came back today to make sure that everything's all right and to film it for you guys. But before we do that, you know the drill. Make sure we hit that subscribe button and let's dive right in. All right, guys, so here is my classroom with the 4 classroom aquariums. For those of you that have not been following along, I've only had access to my classroom once a week for the last 5 months. That is due to the COVID pandemic, and they really wanted to reduce the amount of bodies that are in the school. So that's why I've only had weekly access. All things considered, the tanks have been doing very well. I do give them a 75% water change every week, and then make sure that I clean up any excess food. So starting off here with the 75-gallon craziness that I referred to earlier. At first glance, everything looks pretty solid. We have the green terror up here, still looking good, also called a golden Psalm with those orange tips. And we have Jack the Jack Dempsey. Oh, look at that. The auto feeder just went off.
What are they doing? Feeding them.
So auto feeders are how I've been able to get by with only weekly access to my tank. All things considered, it's been working very well. I also have automatic lights here. I would highly recommend that. Back to the craziness. Back here we can see the Salvini. So the Salvini is a beautiful fish. It is a female, and she is extremely aggressive. To go along with that, if you observe right behind her, here's the craziness. She laid eggs. For the first time ever since owning her, she has laid eggs. She's already extremely aggressive and the tank boss as it is. Therefore, her laying eggs has made her even more aggressive, which has made me a little worried with the fish, like the Jack Dempsey here, the green terror, and then there is a convict hiding out in the cave back there as well. So if we go over by the eggs over here, look what she did to the substrate. Whoa. This was all her. This used to be totally flat, totally across the bottom. So she's been putting in work preparing for this day. So it is super cool to see when your fish actually lay eggs and to actually see them in person. I do not have another Salvini that I own, so unfortunately these eggs will not be fertilized, but it's still a cool sight to see. I also put these new rocks here just to kind of give Salvini more of a den feel and to kind of break some of the aggression from the rest of the tank mates. So you can see whenever she gets close to the fish, she really colors up and really flares the red part of her gills and then also the blue part of her upper fins. She is a beautiful fish. So with no male to fertilize these eggs, what I've experienced in the past with my flower horn is they will actually eat the eggs if they go unfertilized. So if we quickly go over to my flower horn tank, here's Felix the flower horn. It is actually a female. I did not know this whenever I named her Felix, but my students loved the name and it stuck, so she's staying with Felix. So she's actually laid eggs 3 or 4 times, typically on one of these rocks right here. And when they go unfertilized, she has eaten them. She has really thrived during quarantine. Seems like she grows an inch every month, and she's become very, very thick. So my hope is that the Salvini does not become too aggressive and hurt any of these other fish. The idea of this tank was to be a predator tank to where aggression could fight aggression. Green terrors and Jack Dempseys are both known for their aggression, so hopefully they can hold their own. But I will be checking on this as much as possible just to ensure their safety. So the good thing about the Salvini laying eggs is laying eggs is simply a sign of good water clarity. So with the weekly access, I was a little worried that my nitrates were getting too high, especially with the auto feeders. It's really hard to get the perfect feed amount, but the water looks great, and it's a great sign that she's laying eggs. All right, guys, so I'm gonna give you a quick update on the other classroom tanks just before I let you go. Here we have the 29 gallon, turn the light on. Look at this guy. This is a juvenile Jack Dempsey. It's from the same gene pool as my Jack in the 75 gallon. I raised this guy from a fry all the way to where he is now. He's looking great. He's already colored up even with a pale substrate, which is not typically the case. So school actually resumes in 2 weeks. So this tank is due for a major upgrade. I will actually get a much bigger tank with a darker substrate. So I'm ready for Jack Jr. here to be a showstopper. We will be showing way more of him in the future. And to kind of break the monotony of the tank, I still do have these giant Danios up here. This giant Danio is the largest Danio I've ever seen.
Sometimes they say huge.
She's been with me for about 1.5 years now, and those are her babies right there as well. All right, I've already talked about Felix. This is her 55 gallon all by herself. She's probably my favorite fish, has so much personality. And she can eat all day long. And lastly, we have my 20 long. It is empty at the moment. So now that school is starting, I do have plans for this tank that we have not done in the past. It'll be something totally different, and I'm really excited about it. So now that school is starting up in 2 weeks, gonna have a lot of fun things to do with these tanks. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.